We spoke a lot about social cohesion, the challenges and solutions also. My question to you would be, who do you follow? Who are the people that inspire you in your peace work? There are people all across the world who cross dividing lines, who build peace, who create bridges between communities torn apart by war, who find common grounds where others see only differences. People break out of the cycle of violence every day. They cross the dividing line every day. They risk their life for peace every day. Who are these people? What do we know about them? Nothing. Even in the peace-building communities, we tend to have a lot of knowledge about strategies, procedures, measurement, tools, but we know very little about the human beings behind peace-building. Whereas very often, it is the human being that decides whether a strategy is going to succeed or not, and not the strategy itself. So if we want to walk this path towards peace, we need to learn more about those who walked this path before us. Based on this thought, I launched 2017 my peace reporting project, PeacePrints, following the footprints of Peacebuilders. The picture is from Myanmar. I travel to post-conflict regions, and I portray peace builders, and I write down their stories. So far, I have been to various countries, including some of them where you come from, like Lebanon, where I was in Tripoli, in the cultural cafe. I portrayed a project in Kosovo, in the divided city of Mitrovica. I was also in Cyprus, in the divided city of Nicosia, the House of Cooperation we heard about yesterday, and many more in Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, Myanmar, Rwanda, Mali. The more I travel, the more I learn. And I would like to share three out of the many lessons and findings I had so far with you. So who are these people who are able to reconnect societies after extreme violence? First of all, let me start with this difficult topic, the readiness to forgive. Last year, I had the chance to visit Rwanda, 25 years after the genocide in 1994. I was in a situation where I met a survivor and her perpetrator in a small, dark room, the three of us, and this lady tells me the whole story. She explains me what happened to her, in what horrible ways this other person sitting next to me had treated her, had tortured children, had killed, raped women, and she keeps on giving me all these details, and it was completely, I felt all the hatred inside me towards this person sitting next to me. And she finishes saying, you know, I forgave him. We are friends again. And my first inner reaction was, no, you can't. This is unhuman, this is unjust, this is unethical. You cannot forgive that person. He's a monster. He doesn't deserve it. And when this happened with me, inside me, I did, of course, not say this aloud. I knew I had a problem. I had a problem. Both of them had already solved. And this woman, she gave me this crucial lesson. No matter how difficult it is, but forgiveness is very often the only way to break out of the cycle of hate and violence. Lesson number 2. I'm speaking about personal learnings, right? I'm not teaching you anything. My personal learnings. Dealing with justice. We are used to see these terms, justice and peace, together. No justice, no peace. What I see in conflict areas is that those people who are able to overcome divides are those people who are ready to accept a tremendous amount of injustice. A tremendous amount. Those who are ready and want to meet the other side are not the same people who insist on justice. As long as you accuse the other person, you're not able to listen, you're not able to build a relationship, you're not able to build trust. I know this is an extremely delicate topic because we need justice, and I'm not saying we don't need human rights defense, we need it crucially. What I'm saying is just that we need to be extremely, extremely careful when defining justice, because very often we take our definition as universal. And that we need to be aware of the dynamics we are creating by fighting injustice, which can be very often counterproductive to our actual goal. Number 3, there's a person that inspires me a lot. It's the Vietnamese peace activist and spiritual leader Thich Nhat Hanh. Among many other things that inspire me, he has this beautiful sentence where he says, "A human is made of non-human elements." What he means is, in a human there is water, there are minerals, there is air. And if you take away one of these non-human elements, it's no longer a human. If you take water out of a human, it's no human anymore, right? And if we translate this into our context of peace building, we could say peace is made of non-peace elements. And this is exactly what I see when I visit peace builders in the field. They are able somehow to include the other side into their concept of peace, and I really mean the concept, and not just a nice activity. And they are able to understand that those who committed the crimes, and we're talking about war crimes, that they are part of our solution. So they are able to remove the divide between us and them, between good and right and just and unjust. Whereas most people, what we do is we go to a certain situation where I think, oh, we bring peace. We just need to get rid of the other ones. They are the obstacle. Once they're gone, there will be peace. Personally, I would have preferred if this was the case, because it is very destabilizing once you remove this line between the other one who you consider the wrong one, right? And then you start rethinking yourself. So it's a difficult process. At the same time, this is how they are able to truly remove or reduce polarization. So these were my 3 personal learnings so far. So first, the readiness to forgive, dealing with injustice very carefully, and ending polarization by inclusion. Now, there's one last thing I would like to mention. In countries where, like Switzerland, where I come from, and other countries, we take peace for granted. Something we achieve because we are so good, and which will stay with us forever. Now, the symbol of peace is not a skyscraper resistant to earthquakes. The symbol of peace is a dove. It is a bird. And like with birds, it's very hard to predict or to know when they come and when they go. It's hard to catch them. And they depend a lot on external factors, which can influence their decision to stay or not, which can attract them or threaten them. One of the threats to the bird called peace is divisive thinking and the normalization of violence. We are exposed to a high amount of violence and divisive thinking in our everyday lives, be it through media, social media, be it in the films, but also even in school books and political parties. What we want is the normalization of peace. So how do we end the normalization of violence? By telling other stories. Stories that help understand that there is an alternative to a violent response, always. I'm not saying I am the person who is able to stay nonviolent in extreme conditions. I don't know. I can just tell you there are people out there who are able to. And these are the people we should follow, right? Now, you may say, well, stories are nice, but they're not going to change anything on the ground. Then let's have a look at history. Let's maybe talk to a marketing strategist. And we will see if you change the stories, the actions will follow. Thank you.